Oh, wow. That's great.
Thank you, Tommy.
All right.
It's okay. You can start we can start from the beginning. Thank you so much, Tommy. Absolutely, you rock.
Thanks, Tommy. There's a little button called the mute button, which we had on.
Hi,
Hey, Omar, how's it going? Is that me or you? No, it was definitely us. It was definitely us.
It was definitely us.
We bought a new cord for our mic, and we thought it was going to be great. But I guess the new mini USB, it doesn't quite fit snugly in our Blue Yeti. I guess the Blue Yeti is sensitive. It only likes its own cord. So now we're getting an echo. Oh, we good now. We good now. Okay.
Do we still have the echo or no? Okay. I think you said we're good. Okay. Cool.
Okay. We good now.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm glad that we're good.
Thanks for joining, Tommy and Omar. Love it.
Even though no one is good except God alone.
Wow. Okay, let's see. What is that? Jimmy, that'd be a little.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm thinking about dyeing it. I'm getting tired of this gray. I'm feeling like maybe I got to put some brown back in here, or maybe some blue. Just go blue, straight up Bluebeard.
No. Oh wow, that would be awful.
That would be so cool.
Bluebeard?
Yeah, like a bright electric blue.
Okay. Are you being silly?
I mean a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jimmy was reading off the description, which is a lot, but go ahead, honey. You break it down.
Yeah.
I'll join you.
I'm gonna read what basically we wrote with the help of our assistant Chatty, which is my name for ChatGPT. It's kind of changed the way I do everything now. It's kind of like a little assistant.
Because it took both our brains, like we were going back and forth, and Jimmy's like,
put it into the ChatGPT. Hey, what do you think about this? I love that ChatGPT has a memory now. So with all of my research notes and everything that's been going on, it kind of knows me. It can feel like, and so it kind of spit out this when it's like, hey, this podcast that we're trying to restart and all the teaching things that we want to do and the community that we're looking to be a part of. Can you summarize that for us? We want to kind of be able to tell the people what's going on, right? So we put that in our YouTube description. So I'm going to read verbatim from here because I just feel like it's a really good summary of what we're trying to do here. This is join us live this Wednesday as we officially relaunch Life to the Full. We're building a community where critical thinking meets healing and transformation. We'll discuss our mission to address the challenges of navigating spiritual trauma while fostering resilience, growth, and a hopeful outlook. This isn't about dwelling in pain. It's about understanding, confronting, and taking steps towards a more authentic faith. Whether you seek to challenge traditional systems, deepen your spirituality, or heal from past hurts, this is your space to thrive. Let's redefine what it means to live life to the full with honesty, courage, and hope.
That's a lot. So let's, I guess, break that down.
So I'm going to take a second to get my apple juice here.
Can you guys hear us both? So we definitely are going to need two mics. I think last time one side was stronger than the other one. But anyway.
We can share.
Yeah, I do believe sharing is caring. Yeah. However, we want the sound to work well. And we want you guys to join. So
we do.
I know Daniel joined last week and it was really good on the comments, but we will love to invite people to come and share the screen.
It'd be great to figure out us. Yeah, how we can do like a call-in show. Like maybe people can call in. I could do like my DJ voice.
He does like to hear his own voice, but
welcome to the late night Life to the Full.
Yeah.
After hours.
But anyway, do you guys want to be in a community of critical thinking? So maybe we'll start from like the first piece. What do you guys think critical thinking is? What does that look like in a community? That would be so cool to get your input. I guess we could go first.
Yeah, sure.
So you want to go first? Like, what is a critical thinking community?
Critical thinking to me is just keeping your brain on. So like when people tell you stuff, you keep your brain on and you engage. You engage with what they're telling you. You try really hard to listen. to what is being communicated, either what you're reading or what someone's telling you. And then you ask questions. You ask intelligent questions of either the person who is you're engaging with or the text that you're engaging with. And you ask what would be considered critical questions, like, well, why do you think that? What framework do you have in mind when you're coming to that worldview that you're coming to? I think critical thinking is very, very important, although I think people can hear the word critical and red flags can go up. You know, the yellow card could be on the field, and it's like, what do you mean you're being critical? There's no place to be critical. We need to not be critical.
Okay. Let's see. To me, yeah, I guess like intentional listening, staying curious, asking questions like, tell me more about that, being open. Oh, I don't understand this part. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Or what does it mean? Or I don't know. I could get very intimidated by Jimmy knowing lots of things in the Bible, but it's like, okay, what's going to be more beneficial for me to yes him? So like, yeah, I remember the story, and I'm just like trying to look for the story in my head. Mm-hmm. Or is it, hey, no, I don't remember it like at all. Like, tell me more. So I will say like staying curious, being intentional about, and remembering, this is more for me, if you're like me, remembering that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So just asking more questions. So that's what it will look like for me when it comes to critical thinking. So thinking.
Yeah.
Because I know you say your brain on, and I'm just like, let's come and think. So everybody's brain or everybody's input is important. And this is why we're doing the live stream, because he's going to be dropping off like the podcast class on Sunday. So
right.
Sunday,
which will be recorded, not live.
Yeah. So Sunday, because he gets a little nervous. But that's okay,
Well, it's just like, like you got all the things and you got this, you don't want to see me there for like 10 minutes being like, wait, I just had my slideshow. Where is it going? I don't know if any of you guys out there are fans of Pat Flynn, but he always would be very intimidating to me because he would do like all the things with the buttons and the transitions, and it would be like pretty seamless. While, anytime I've tried to teach anything live, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? You guys even saw earlier we had our tech problem with the mic. So I wouldn't like to subject all of you that to you on a Sunday afternoon.
I could be your Felicity and
it could
deal with that. But anyway, it's your comfort.
Yeah. And, and I'm calling these my Sunday seminars, and the Sunday seminars do come out of, we have done them before, and we previously did them in a live format where I kind of felt like, it was just a challenge for everybody who, I asked to be a part of it, to, set aside that time. Some of these things that we're going to go through, I do want to go deep, and I want to go as long as it takes. So, to say, even like last time we did Ephesians, it was supposed to be like, I think an 8 or 10 week process. And we got to like Ephesians 3, or I don't even think we got to Ephesians 3. We got near Ephesians 3. And it kind of felt like, wow, I wish that it had been something more where it was just content that I was able to put out. And then, people could kind of consume it at their own pace, because maybe 2:00 on a Sunday, for whatever reason, you can't come, but maybe that night, or maybe, and if hopefully it'll be a video podcast. So, however you want to consume it, whether it is you just want to consume it while you're commuting, hopefully you're not watching the video then, or if it wants to be something that you sit down with. And then, eventually as we kind of grow our audience, I'm hoping then we'll have opportunities for other people to do teaching, other people to do some communicating as well. And also that we can have times where we all interact together with the material, like, I feel like I'm talking too much.
So the way you're seeing it's like Sunday's class, and then today will be like a recap. What do you want from today?
So today,
Wednesday's live.
The Wednesday live, I always kind of just want to be like, hey, let's get out, let's hang out, let's talk. Maybe
let's feel the room.
Let's feel the people. Let's like.
It's an inside joke if you didn't listen to our podcast last 2021.
Even this afternoon, Patty was like, hey, are we just winging it tonight? Or
what's the plan?
Do we have an agenda? I was like, no, winging it sounds great. Let's just wing it. And then she's like, what? what are you doing? And so we had a nice talk.
Hence the fight.
We had a nice talk about, I say talk, I should put that in air quotes, about like what we're going to be going through tonight. And I really think it's just thinking about like communities. One of the things I've missed the most about leaving the ICOC is just not really having that community anymore. Like, and I'm hoping at one point to talk more about my experience in the ICOC. I'm hoping to invite others to do so as well. But that was one of the things that, I definitely took for granted when I was a part of it. There was a group of people who on the surface of it said that we all take the Bible seriously. We all take God seriously and spirituality seriously. So let's get together and vibe on that. Let's get together and talk about that. And so that's what I miss the most. I miss, I've been doing some graduate work. I've been doing some work in seminary and just regular grad school. And it's always great to have that, 2-hour or 3-hour class, once a week where you get to be with your peers on the line. But it's not the same as, getting to go to the place where the people are at, hanging out, going to grab a slice of pizza, a coffee, or even just going for a walk. I know Omar was here. I'm not sure if he's still here, but I feel like the last time we hung out, Omar, we just took a great walk in Staten Island in one of the parks out there. And it was just really cool. We spent the day. Our dog was crazy. She didn't really she was much worse than she is now at listening. So she kind of was all over the place, and you were just really kind and patient, and you walked with us and we got to talk to each other about our lives and what's going on. And if you don't know, now we're down here in, I want to say sunny Florida, but it is cold right now.
I believe tonight's going to be in the 30, 37, 38. Can you guys believe it?
I can't even
37, 38.
Jeez.
Okay. So whenever, and even if you're watching the replay, let us know. So let's go along with the conversation, because we're building the podcast and we want as much as participation as we can, because I think that's going to be the best value for everyone who's listening. So question for you and for me. So we said a community where critical thinking meets healing and transformation. Mm-hmm. What comes up for you?
Well, I always think of the expression, when you're stuck in your head, you're dead. And I can be a person that I get in love with the learning, and I never actually ever do anything with it. So I've been trying to grow more. And, grad school has actually been really cool with that, because we do a lot of critical thinking. And then the point to what we're doing is always to add to the scholarship. So how can you take what you're learning, think critically about texts and about things, and try and ask a question? You might not answer it, but ask a question that's never been asked before and contribute to what's called the scholarly conversation. So there's a conversation going on out there about these ideas, and we don't want to just consume the conversation that's already being had. We want to try and partake in that conversation. And that's what I miss the most about having a community of people that, really are interested in this stuff. And, so I'm excited about this opportunity just to put myself out there more, put us out there more, I guess two of us, and just to engage with people more and see, it's is anyone out there? I remember one day you were looking out the window and you were going hello, hello, because you kind of, well, I guess maybe I'll let you talk more about that.
That's okay. Yeah. We had an ice cream. Great ice cream.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, and maybe I missed this quote right here. That was more than the feeling. I don't know where that comment's from, but anyway.
Maybe about Poppy being bad.
Oh, maybe Poppy's still pretty.
She's much better.
We still need training on
we've grown.
How to have a dog. Yeah. Okay. So for me, where critical thinking meets transformation, well, I don't agree with ever getting anywhere to any kind of perfection or to any kind of level. I think we're a process and a journey. So I say that they go hand in hand, because, okay, so I watched our brainstorming while you were gone, And I'm like, oh, wow, like, because when we're in the live, we're having a conversation, it's really good. Like, I had missed something. So there was a few things that I missed. And that's why I said 2 ears more, 2 ears versus one mouth. Because there was like some things that you said that I had missed. And I was just like, huh. And I was like taking the mic. I was like moving the mic. So anyway, being part of that change, or because I really, we all come with our strength. We all come with our contribution to the conversation, and we could all learn from each other. And why, I'm going to keep repeating this. The more participation, the more input, the more critical thinking, or the more questions as we go through it, as we go together, and it will be good, because I believe Chatty said said healing because what you told her. Do you remember what you told her?
I think so. I know I feel like I'm much more comfortable with trauma, in the sense that, not that you're not comfortable with trauma, but I'm more comfortable like sitting in it. I'm more comfortable listening to it. Don't spit out your pina colada there. I'm more comfortable experiencing it. I feel like healing and transformation it's a process. And I do feel like there's a tendency in the type of church movement that we both came from, to dismiss people who are bitter and hurt. Is like, oh, they need to work on that first. Or let me be there and help them deal with this. I'm not really going to hear like what they're saying. Where I kind of disagree with that. I feel like, like being hurt and being bitter, I think it's part of the human condition. I think if you're trying to tell yourself that doesn't exist, or that, not that you're saying that it doesn't exist, but that's ever going to be fully dealt with, I think is unrealistic. And I think it's more honest, in my opinion, to embrace that as a reality, see it, and then still push forward into healing and relationships. And that's what I think is important. But and I think I was saying that you're more of a person, maybe you want to speak for it. But from what I remember, I put in that my wife, who's doing this project with me, is more of a person who, she does acknowledge the pain. She does acknowledge the trauma, but she's more in the school of thought of, okay, well, how can I hold myself responsible? How can I be held accountable? What did I do, and how I can change so that I'm not just stuck, just being a victim and just being like wah, and really just getting out there and making a difference, not being stuck in that victim mentality, but really learning to be an overcomer through finding what you can hold yourself accountable to. How did I do?
I don't know. How did you do?
How did I do describing your position that I put into ChatGPT?
Well, I think ChatGPT does a good job with even vulnerability, because you were vulnerable first, and I was like, you shouldn't put that part about me. It's like, because you said I'm more comfortable being bitter, and like, I know to so many people, like, red alarms come along, and well, I could share from that part as me as your wife. It's a really waste of time to try to change anybody.
Especially me.
To your speed. Yeah, especially you. Because, and I'm not saying wrong or right, it's just that is the reality of things, right? Like, so if Jimmy is gonna decide to stay bitter for years, there's nothing actually I could do. And I know so many people would disagree with that. And the thing is, like, I'd rather Jimmy get to his place of understanding or realization or whatever, at his own timing, because I it's part of like, I don't like to be yes. Like when you're in leadership and you have like years of people yesing you and you know it's fake, because unfortunately in the workforce, people will yes you just because you're the boss, right? And so like being in leadership in a workforce, to me, I thought people were listening to me, but they were just listening because of my title. And I don't like it. I actually, yeah, I feel very uncomfortable alone, and it's like, what's the point? I really want you to understand. I really want us to come to a common ground and then move from there. So anyway, so I will say that, part of that pressure, there is pressure for like this quick repentance and like all, which it's like, but for who, like who's the one who's been like, and I know like a lot of times it's like for the person. And if you're honest, at least if I'm honest with myself, right? I'm like, well, I'm being affected, by it. And so like, so what do I care more? Do I care more about how I'm being affected or what he's feeling? So it's where I'm at right now in my journey. Like, and it does come up so much, especially in the last 2 years, that it's like I cannot change anybody, especially my husband, especially like my mom, especially those who are close to me. And that it would be so much better for people to come up in their own conclusion, their own unveiling. And so I don't have that much of this urgency, like they need to see it. Oh, hey, Cecilia, what's going on, prima?
Cecilia.
Love it. Yeah, so I don't know if you meant like as far as like, like not changing people, because it's not really our job to do that. And when somebody comes to their own realization, to me, that's really allowing that critical thinking, like where critical thinking meets healing and transformation. I think like, that's, I guess it also has been because I follow certain people who don't tell other people what to do. And so that's very different from where I'm coming from, right? Like from like my family to like the workforce to church, right? Like so constantly being told what to do, how to say, what to say and all that, to now having these news circles where it's like, I'm going to give you information. You go and decide what you believe from all that, right? Instead of being told what to do. So that's what I would say. Oh, hold on. I think, yep. All right. So Cecilia, thank you for joining. I love it. So we would love to know, whoever's here, if you're watching the replay, what's your input when it comes to critical thinking? What else comes up when you say critical thinking meets healing and transformation? So I will say like that's part one. And I guess what's the other line?
We'll discuss our mission to address the challenges of navigating spiritual trauma,
okay,
fostering resilience, growth, and a hopeful outlook.
Okay, so sorry, it's hard for me to see glasses over there. And then can you read it one more time?
Sure. We'll discuss our mission to address the challenges of navigating spiritual trauma.
Okay, so navigating spiritual trauma
while fostering resilience,
growth,
and a hopeful outlook.
Okay, cool. You want to go first?
Yeah. I think, I know a lot of times, I've talked to people and I always get amused when I know someone is about to drop the whole like B word, like,
what's the B word?
The bitterness. I think you might be bitter.
I think you're being sarcastic.
Or I think you might have church hurt. Or, like trauma in general. Trauma has kind of become, I feel like, a buzzword. I feel like I hear it a lot now on the internet, people talking about trauma, how to overcome trauma, the effects of trauma, church and trauma, spirituality and trauma. And I think it's, in an ideal world, trauma would be something that none of us would even know what that is. We hit the dog in the head.
I just hit my dog with the top.
As long as she's not running out from the desk, we have all these cords that you guys can't see. So if you see, us go flying, it's the dog panicking.
Yeah.
Which is it's a real fear. It's a real fear. But I think even if I could take a second to talk about the Bible, here.
We have a comment too. I don't know if you want to address the comment
Sure,
first.
let's see the comment.
Okay. When I check out a church or teacher, having space for critical thinking is one of the first things I check for.
It's great.
It's inseparably.
You can't separate it.
Sorry. Tied to humility, willingness to say you're wrong, or there may be the possibility of another perspective. That is so cool. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
do you know John? I don't think I know John.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, John. That's that right there. That's like And go ahead.
I love his little Linux mug. That's really cool. One of the things, one of the augmented reality sand table that we use in our science programs uses Linux.
Okay.
So I don't have much familiarity with Linux, only that I needed to run my augmented reality sand table.
Yeah, I agree with the humility for sure, and willingness to say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Or another possibility for another perspective. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And even in the Bible, I feel like if you think about like some of what we would classify in the Western world as the wisdom literature, you have like the Proverbs. And the Proverbs are very much like, if you do this, great things will happen to you. If you just follow these principles and you're a righteous person, great things will happen. And then you get to like the book of Job, where you have this person who is cast as being super righteous, and all of these horrible things happen to him, and his friends don't get it. They're like, you must be in sin. Like, we don't care how we saw you before as this great, amazing, righteous teacher. You're obviously in sin. You need to listen to rebuke. And he's like, I haven't done anything. And then God shows up, and God has actually, doesn't even like necessarily justify him, but, confronts Job. And then, Job has to pray for his friends. And then you get, Ecclesiastes, where it's all about like, he's questioning everything. He's like, I don't understand. He's like, evil people seem to be doing better than people who are trying to be righteous, and nothing seems to make any sense. So I think even in the biblical literature, there's a space that, for trauma and dealing with trauma. I think the Israelites in their history of constructing these texts and holding on to these texts dealt with a lot of like generational trauma, and that informed this literature that they produced, these scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures. And I feel like, navigating that, it takes a really strong person to deal with trauma, and especially spiritual trauma, when it's a trauma from your community or it's a trauma that you experience while you're in a church, and to still want to be part of the solution, and not just like be like, I never want to talk to you guys again. I'm out. You guys suck. I'm the best. And just really just hold on to that hope, that idealistic just dream that, I don't know how this is all going to work out, but this is definitely going to work out. And just that relentless optimism, that I think that's what the scriptures portray in the face of trauma. And that's kind of like, I feel like if I'm going to be more honest, or like learning to be honest in my life is learning to be like, yeah, I have trauma that I've dealt with, and I've been a part myself of causing trauma. And, like this is going to work itself out. Like, God is here, God is present, God is sovereign, and all of this stuff, even though like it would be disingenuous for me to be like, I've repented, I've forgiven them all, I'm okay, everything is awesome, like to just really just acknowledging that there are wounds there that you might never fully recover from, but there are great things coming from all of that pain and that tragedy. Like the tragedy wasn't great, and that the pains weren't amazing. No one's saying that, but that through that, something still amazing is going to come from all that.
Yeah, I will say that's a definition of resilience.
Yeah.
We were looking for a thumbnail. one of the things that chat will say is like there's like certain colors that represent certain things, and without knowing it, sunset actually, the colors of sunset represents resilience. And I was like, why? And then when I think about sunset, I think about like the end of a day, the end of work, to a new beginning, to like it is finished, it is done, and then tomorrow is another day. So I love that, because yes, and when we do our best to practice Shabbat, right, or to observe, it's or learn, we're still in this journey. It's like it's and letting go, right? Like just
so maybe catch people up. Like, what do you mean by us trying to practice Shabbat?
Sure. So on Fridays we are, well, I guess that's the part where I could be more self-critical of what not achieving like this perfection, but like
what's the ideal? What have we been trying to do every Friday night?
More like last year, we were ending the worry of all the things that are done in our week, right? Like I detest checklists, but I am very, very, very attached to my journal, to the things that I gotta get done. Like I'm meeting goals and things like that. So it's like on Friday, it's like being okay with what I have accomplished, whether it's little, big, or whatever, right? So just letting go, having dinner, shutting off lights, turning on candles, letting go of electronics, like fully putting our cell phones by the entrance, and listen to music. Well, I guess as far as electronics, not like watching the screens, but we've been listening to Poor Bishop, and or getting in our Bibles, or reading a book, playing games, and really disconnecting to we're like, we're letting go. So that's one of the things that we want to continue to do into 2025. So I lost my track of thought when you asked me what that is. But yeah. Okay, so it's more like ending like the colors of sunset, or when it comes to resilience, because it actually does take strength to surrender what you did and what you didn't do. So yeah, I think that's part, knowing that you're not striving for perfection, but you're a process, and you're in this you're progressing, and that you're letting go, and that you're gonna trust, and I believe that, to me, it's what brings like more hope, because I know I'm okay. God still loves me, whether I achieve my benchmark, my goals, whatever you want to call it, my intentions. And so, yeah, so that's what I like everything that you're saying. And when I think about the word resilience, and I was listening to Jordan Peterson, that, like, all these videos are popping in about a woman with no friends, strength and resilience. Like the algorithm will really absolutely feed what you're trying, where you're at too. So I will say one of the things he talked about was just like resilience means taking responsibility. And when you take responsibility, you're not too busy trying to change people, the more you start focusing on yourself. But we have a comment, and okay. I totally missed it. I find it challenging to have meaningful, conductive to possible necessary change, critical thinking conversations in places where there is a lot of tradition. The areas with the most unquestioned traditions, the harder it is to have meaningful, what's CT?
Critical thinking.
Yeah. Critical thinking conversations. Okay. Mm-hmm. So find challenging, meaningful, conductive. Yeah. Yeah, like I guess like traditions, or like, what do you, I guess, give us an example. But I mean, I would agree, like, and I guess in our setting that we have in common. So I will say yes. But maybe what did you mean, like, specifically, like what kind of tradition The areas with the most unquestioned transitions, the harder it
Yeah.
is to have. Okay, maybe go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it definitely is a challenge, especially, and I feel like I had a lot of those conversations while I was exiting the ICOC, of where, certain people that I was talking to, it kind of felt like I was talking to a brick wall. It was more of like they were there to help me, not necessarily hear what I was saying, where I was coming from. So it was kind of like, yeah, they were open to having conversations, but it was very much like one-sided. Like I was talking with a person that already knew that they had all the right answers, and they were trying to help me see their side of it. And and when I realized that was happening, it made me question every conversation I've ever had in like my 20 years being in the ICOC, and just wondering, feeling like the majority of the conversations I had had over the years had been those types of conversations. And even when I was in the situation where I felt like, hey, I'm right. I know the right answers. I need to help this poor person come to the light or come see my point of view. And, I think what helps me now is I strive for a place where I don't expect anything from the other person. I try and more just make sure I speak like my truth, or I speak like, and I don't mean my truth, but like my right answers, but like what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. And I show up authentically, I should say, more to every conversation, and not feel like, like I need to change them, or, I need to let them change me. Maybe there is no right answer. Maybe that's okay. But it definitely could be a challenge. And I think like that's part of the reason that, we're doing this again too, is that I miss those things, Omar. I miss being able to have conversations with people where it's like we can fundamentally disagree on a whole bunch of stuff. And then, but we don't question each other's salvation, or we don't feel like, I don't know if he's a real Christian, like we still embrace and love each other.
Okay. I mean, traditional beliefs, behaviors, whatever it is, long entrenched traditions, for example, positions on marriage, divorce, or even end. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that can be tough.
Or like women's role. That's what I actually thought about when you had said that too. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Marriage, divorce. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that will be up. Yeah, because it's like kind of like if we think we know all the right answers. So I think that's more like what you were saying, Jimmy. Or like, oh, the Bible is so clear. No.
Yeah.
It's not. Where's the room for wonder? Where's the book I'm reading? Oh, it's all over there. So the chapter I read today was on wonder.
What book is this?
Honey, you know the book I'm reading.
It's called Man in Search of God
by Abraham Herschel.
No, I wanted you to tell the people what book you're reading.
But if you know it, just say it. Why do all that? Because I forget like names of books I'm reading. I know it's crazy. But today's chapter was like all on wonder. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like it's one of the reasons when Jimmy introduced me to the JPS, right? Like the Jewish
Publication Society.
And like we read Genesis 1:1-2, and I was like, there was so much to cover that without when you go with like a mindset that you're relearning, or rather unlearning to then relearn, and everything that could open, it's like the curtains on like opening up, unveiling, like where all this mystery, and like it's like you open something, it's like magical, it's something's coming up, and you're just like in awe of things being right in front of your face.
Yeah.
And having missed it. So
yeah, I think like what you're saying is true. Is like when you think you have all the right answers, you miss out on the wonder, you miss out on the mystery, you miss out on the journey of discovery of like finding out something new.
Yes. John, we have a message from John. Just watching people talk through the last couple of election cycles, meeting people on the street, Facebook groups about politics and religion, it seems most people don't care at all or just conform their opinion to their tribe without thinking. It seems really rare to find people that independently form opinions instead of party line. And
yeah,
wait, how do you know John? Who's John? I need to meet you, John. Do I know you?
I believe from the ICOC or the ICC.
From Staten Island? Like,
No,
why?
no,
Oh, okay.
I don't think
Okay.
from Staten Island.
Okay, well, John, thank you so much for joining the conversation, and Omar, of course, being here. I just love reading, and it's so true. Yeah. There is like no thinking. Yeah, it's like more about you become just like a fan,
Right.
or a defender of the other team, versus to pause for 1 second. Let me just hear out what they're saying. And I know
Sure.
a lot of people that I've been following the last year left one team when they started like listening. You're like, wait, why was I agreeing to that? Like, I didn't even know, like if we're talking about politics. So yeah, and then like, and I guess we grew up saying we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion. Well, why is that?
Why not?
Well, no, but why would you encourage society to avoid critical thinking, right? Because to me, it's a way of keeping people as sheep, just a bunch of followers who are not gonna like start thinking, who are not gonna think, they're not gonna feel, and therefore they're not gonna make decisions. I see that's like that, like if so many people have such a hard time making decisions because they're not practicing their thinking and feeling and reflecting and coming up with solutions. So absolutely. So yeah, thank you, John. That's really cool. Okay, cool. This is good. Let's do the other part. What's the other one right there, honey?
This isn't about dwelling in pain.
Okay.
It's about understanding, confronting, and taking steps towards a more authentic faith.
Hold on. We had a comment from COVID. Welcome 30% of the world.
It so did.
I say higher, but for sure.
It really did. It got us a whole bunch of us being like, wait, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, why,
Yes. Guilty, right? Like we were like so intense. Like I was just having a conversation with my friend. I'm like, I'm not going to make the same mistake. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And then I started like, sharing, like being so radical. I was so radical where my niece at that time, she was like six, maybe, 6, 7, could not understand, why we were having a barbecue like 12 feet away from each other. And she was just so
ridiculous.
She was just like standing with her little mask, like confused, And it's because we weren't asking questions. And it was absolutely
we just shut our brain off. We're like, okay,
Yeah.
It really is.
And
And even to piggyback off of what John was saying before about people, like they're just like, this is my team. This is what the team believes. This is what I believe. Everything my team says is the best. Everything your team says is the worst. And it's just another way of like shutting off your brain. Like, where I feel like even like in the political realm, I feel like conservatives and liberals have probably a lot more in common than they do like where they disagree on. And if people could just come together, and just like communicate. Yeah, I do. I think if people could just communicate like human beings, see a human being in front of them, and not like this racist, person that's just disgusting and everything about them is terrible. I think people would really, we would move the needle so much more forward of just making more progress in this world. versus like the way we're just entrenched in our own little camps. And because I know that you're not in my camp, I know everything you're about to say is wrong. And I can't wait to like make you feel so stupid for all the stupid things that you think, versus like actually opening up a dialogue and having a conversation. And I do feel like most people care about similar things. They care about, being fulfilled in life, being happy, being healthy, the people around them being happy and healthy. And, like, I think we just disagree sometimes on how to get there.
Yeah. I mean, look at us, right? For like 3 years, I refused to continue the podcast with my husband because he wanted to do certain things. I was 100 not behind him. And even though I wasn't, he was still posting things that I didn't agree with. And I was like, we're pulling the cord. Why are you still doing this? Like behind my back. And so anyway, so we got in a big fight about that. But it's like, but then we're missing the whole point. Like one of the reasons we came live last week and we said, hey, brainstorm with us. It's because there was that talk or like that conversation on the bitterness. But at the end of the day, even though, Daniel was here and he was agreeing with me or why not, I still cannot force my husband to go and have a conversation with somebody. That is not happening. And that has to I need to be okay with that, and I am, but we could get in that wagon of like, we need to do it right now. So I did my best. I contacted somebody else here in the local church here, and like I said, I'll give 2 weeks for an email because, holidays. My next thing is get a phone call. And then if that phone call didn't work, I'm going to go and show up. But yeah, thank you guys so much. But I will say, okay, so it's not about, let's go into the next half that we just read. It's not about dwelling in pain. It's understanding, confronting, and taking steps towards. Like I would say, like that's my jam. Like I want to get right into solution.
Right.
However, I could certainly grow and not ruminating in all of my thoughts or ideas, but more of having more grace on myself, because I think that's when like we create this urgency. And that's when I said earlier, like we have to be honest. What am I more concerned that it's affecting me or that he's bitter? Like which one is taking more, right? And so I think it's good that we're starting this podcast, even though we don't agree on everything. Like there's a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers that Jimmy thinks that I am absolutely cuckoo about following and listening. And then there are some videos that he has heard when he's like, he does like a double take and now he's listening to, what's the latest one that you love listening to? Darby? Carby? My gosh.
Oh, D-Roy?
D-Roy?
D-Roy Darkins?
Yes.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's really good. So anyway, so it's like, it's, I'm excited about having the live because, it's part of like that whole critical thinking. Like you come with your own brain, share what you have in mind. Well, hold on a second. Mr. Zito, what am I?
This is way back. This is in middle school because I just got finished teaching a little bit of middle school. This is
high school.
This is way back when I taught high school.
Oh
back in the early 2000s.
Gosh,
it's always crazy that
so
my old
awesome.
kids have their own kids, and it's like,
you want me to pull up Poppy? We have a dog.
Hey, Brett, how's it going, man?
Good thanks for joining, Brett. Okay, hold on one second. Yeah.
Sir Pete.
Wow, that is awesome. Are you still in Staten Island?
No, not. We're in Florida now. Although every now and then I do.
Oh, I was asking him, but
yeah, sorry. I thought he asked me. Every now and then I hear from Mr. Colt and Mr. Enright and all of them. So, yeah.
That's so cool. Guys, thank you so much. Dropping by, saying hello is always so good to reconnect with people. But yeah, I'm gonna say like so there's gonna be a mixture of this community. I'm always gonna vote for that, right? So what because one thing too, it's being over responsible for things. And that's something I had to watch out. That's a lesson that happened for my November and December. It was overtaking responsibility for others. And that is as damaging as not taking responsibility at all. Hold on, we have another comment. You and Mrs. Hunt.
Mr. Timmons, yeah.
Who's that?
He taught math, I believe.
Okay. And what did you do? Science, right?
I taught science. Yeah, I taught a little bit of English and then...
I believe in science.
And then I taught, yeah. Mr. Timmons was cool. He would walk around with like a golf club and he would just like randomly hit things.
What?
Yeah, he was great. But he was more of like a showman. And so like I think, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, every year he would do this whole like almost like rock and roll, like Christmas, night before Christmas. He would come out dressed like the Undertaker. Remember the Undertaker from like wrestling? WWF? Like in like the big like
I didn't watch it.
Dark hat, dark clothes, dark trench coat. He'd have a suitcase. He would walk up to like rock music.
No.
And it was almost like it was crazy. But it was like so cool. Am I thinking about, is that Mr. Timmons, or Mr. Timmons is the guy who eventually became a principal?
I'm not sure. Maybe Brett could let you know.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, and then the last thing, I guess, sort of last thing is what?
Well, I just want to say too about isn't about dwelling in pain. It's about understanding, confronting, and taking steps towards a more authentic faith.
The authentic faith.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes we rush to solutions. You know, there's a problem. We need to solve it. You know?
Monsters Inc. when the sock gets on the guy and they're like 2015 or whatever number they call it.
You know, and I remember working in the YMCA, you know, and I do feel like the YMCA, I don't know if it still does, but I feel like at the time it had one of the best nonprofit training programs in terms of leadership.
Yes,
that, like
absolutely.
I have ever encountered in my life.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I had been recommended to read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Wait, you read it?
I did. It actually led me to remember quitting that job, because it kind of breaks things into quadrants. And, you know, the quadrant 2, if I remember correctly, is like the most important. That's where like you're really thinking through, you're thinking hard about how can I create systems and processes so that these problems never happen again. And I think, you know, although we don't want to sit in our mess, sit in our trauma and just whine, right? There does need to be some time where you do sit and you reflect and you really feel that pain. So you're not running off just trying to create solutions without fully understanding the problem, you know? And I think in the biblical story, you see a lot of that too, you know, like I think if you look at God, I think a lot of times God, especially in, you know, the first 5 books of Moses, you know, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, especially in Genesis, you see God kind of trying, almost like figuring it out. Like, I didn't expect this to go so horribly wrong. How am I going to get this back together? You know, I love these humans. I can't imagine a world without these humans. How am I going to fix this without destroying all the humans? Because the humans are really messed up. And I think out of that comes the whole, you know, Abrahamic faith, Abraham and the story of Israel, and eventually you get Jesus. And I think, you know, that took how many thousands of years? And not that we have thousands of years to sit and dwell in our trauma, but I feel like sometimes when we just go and we just try and solve, because that's how, like, my experience too, also dealing with, you know, the church tradition that we came out of, the ICOC, was that we were always moving, always trying to solve.
That I hate. Hey, Brett, didn't you hate that snap? It's so bossy.
I don't think he.
Hold on, he wrote something in here. He got your phone shows after your dojo had fire. What?
Yeah, yes, he would. And I got you foam nunchucks after your dojo had a fire. I remember correctly. Possibly. Possibly.
Crazy teacher.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, okay. But I want to add something what you just said, because I think maybe last episode, maybe that was missed. So yes, you have not had a conversation with someone who, we talked about last week. However, you did take actions into diving even more into what you knew was right, but didn't really at that time said anything, like the whole part of the Bible being unified story that leads to Jesus as a whole.
Hashtag Bible Project.
Bible Project, yes. And you made a decision to get to seminary. Made a decision to go to Portland.
Mm-hmm.
We made a decision to meet with Timmy. That's Tim from the Bible Project. You made a decision to now continue seminars. So it's like, and then we started the podcast, right? So it's like as part of our contribution to our unlearning and new learning. So there's like, you did take action. You're not just in your bitterness. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
And sometimes it's like, don't rush to think you know the right answer. Don't rush to think you know how to fix this. Some things.
I mean, you did wanted to fix stuff.
Of course. But some things you can't fix. Like you can't fix, for instance, the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a great tragedy. You can't fix all of the millions of people that have died through colonialism and all these terrible tragedies, these terrible genocides. You can't fix that. There's no way to fix it. But dwelling in that, admitting to the historical moment of that pain, of that suffering, it does, I think, inform, well, how do we move forward so that if we might not be able to eliminate tragedy from ever happening again, but how do we make the conditions better so that we're not fostering that type of environment? Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right. Do you want to finish reading the last one?
Sure.
Out loud?
Oh, I was trying to find my space. That was me. Whether you seek to challenge traditional systems, deepen your spirituality, or heal from past hurts, this is your space to thrive. Let's redefine what it means to live life to the full.
Yeah. So it goes more than challenging the system. I certainly do want to challenge institutions, period. And especially the Board of Education for me. That's actually... we have this thing. He's like, the church, I'm like, the Board of Ed, and we're like, wait, are we responsible for all this? And we're putting all this pressure.
Yeah.
So it's just, in a sense, it's like it's starting the conversations, it's planting seeds for critical thinking. And then what else? Deepening your spirituality. I certainly want to get to know more people here online. If you are in the Orlando area, forget it. If you're in Central Florida, we'll drive up to an hour, whether north, south, east, or west, or 2 hours. I think we could do 2 hours on a Sunday or something like that.
I can do many hours. You can do at most 2 hours.
That's so true, guys. After 2 hours, I'm absolutely done. Yes, I'm a mess. I am not your bestie to go on car rides whatsoever. No. Okay, heal from past hurt is your space. This is your space. So welcome everybody who's contributed to the conversation, from Brad to Omar to John. Thank you, guys. Cecilia for joining with us. But we want to redefine life to the full, together, honesty, courage, and what? And hope.
Yep.
Yeah, which at the end of the day, for me, hope looks like new ways of personally growing. And then, like you said last time when we were in the morning show, and you spoke about Jubilee, as far as how did we as a generation contribute to the problem, and how as a generation can contribute to the solution. That to me is super cool. So I don't know how old is John or Omar, but I think we're all in our 40s here. Generation X in the house, or he calls himself a millennial. I'm not really sure.
I'm like a border. I feel like,
if
like
he is. So, but
Xennial maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. So like, I am definitely so excited to get people from Generation X and millennials in here. I mean, yes, every generation, whoever wants to contribute to the conversation, absolutely. Just thanks for joining, guys. We did an hour and 6 minutes muted, so we might edit the unmuted part.
Which is why the Sunday teaching, the Sunday seminars will be recorded.
Yeah, and then you can let me know once you get more comfortable to come live to the classes, and I'll be your tech girl. To make sure that you're not muted. And if you watch the morning show, maybe we should get Charmaine in the house, so she can let us know you are muted. Alert, alert, alert. So anyway, guys, let us know in the comments. What does critical thinking, healing, and transformation mean to you? As that's kind of like the overarching theme of our podcast, or anything from this conversation. We'll have it in the timeline. I know comments were coming in after last week because it was cool to see where you guys were commenting, just so we could pick up from those conversations. So Omar, you said you missed it. Now you're here. So thanks, bro, for being here and saying you'll be here. And so we are going to be here every Wednesday in YouTube and Facebook. If you are in Facebook, guys, we want our YouTube community to grow. If you guys could go there and hit subscribe, that would be so cool. For more people to find us, because a lot of people are less involved in Facebook, even though today or yesterday Mark said all these things that he's going to do different. But we're not so sure, but YouTube is pretty open. So I know YouTube is much more.
Mark Zuckerberg? I'm thinking about like Mark England? What?
No. So like it's one of the reasons why YouTube is still standing. And so I love that.
Yep.
Way less censoring than Facebook. But anyway, we're in all those platforms. But guys, thank you so much for joining, and we are back next week. So next week will be the 8 + 7 is 15.
Just next Wednesday. Nobody's gonna be like, what number is it?
Same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So guys, thank you for joining. Anything else you want to say, Zito? Oh, you guys didn't get to hear the song, guys. Listen, we may have a theme song. Let us know what you guys think about in the comments below. It is called Rise Up, and that's how we're gonna end today. And yeah, listen to the lyrics, and we shall see you guys next week. Here we go. We rise up from the dust and clean my throat.
Where's your pina colada?